Howdy. Synop ry. Ry is somehow like association. And it's Universitas Helsingiensis Meteorologia. A meteorological institute or this association. Am I a meteorologist? Many years ago, I somehow got really bored on working on construction, and I thought, yeah, probably I should do something else. And I thought that why not being a meteorologist? Why not? Because I have been fascinating. I have been watching the sky all my life. Am I a meteorologist? For many people, Mette Mannonen and Pekka Pouta, just as a side note, he likes Slayer. I have seen him once at a Slayer gig. Well, anyway, who are familiar from television are the first to come to mind when it comes to meteorology. In reality, meteorology is the physics of the atmosphere, and weather forecasting is only its best known application. But meteorologists are also needed to solve issues such as climate change and air quality. On a only very small number, no, only a very small number of meteorologists who graduate choose a career in television weather reporting. Yeah, especially in a country like Finland, there's like some 5.5 million people, few channels. Like there's not too many places, I guess. In meteorology, atmospheric phenomena such as tropical hurricanes and cloud formation mechanisms are studied with the help of both observations and physics theory. Meteorology is a pioneer in the use of computers, and, e.g., chaos theory was largely shaped by looking at the equations describing the atmosphere. A modern meteorologist is indeed a scientific professional with a broad knowledge and skill base. You can study meteorology at the University of Helsinki's Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences on the Kumpula campus. The Kumpu is a hill, like Outokumpu. The University of Helsinki is the only university in Finland that trains meteorologists. The Kumpula campus is a world-renowned center for atmospheric science research. In addition to the university, the campus also houses the Department of Meteorology. Research and teaching are thus very close to each other in Kumpula. By choosing to study meteorology, you get to study a field that has great social significance. You can learn more about the different research fields of atmospheric sciences on the website of the University of Helsinki Center for Atmospheric Sciences. Meteorology is a pioneer in the use of computers, and e.g. chaos theory was largely shaped by looking at the equations describing the atmosphere. Chaos theory. So that's about chaos theory. Back in the days, in the late 90s, I guess, I watched once a documentary about the chaos theory. And I was very fascinated. For weeks. Like it really mixed me up. The phenomena of sensitivity to initial conditions was discovered by Poincaré in his study of the n-body problem, then by Jacques Hadamard using a mathematical model named geodesic flow on a surface with a non-positive curvature called Hadamard's billiards. A century after Laplace, Poincaré indicated that randomness and determinism become somewhat compatible with no, because of the long-term unpredictability. A very small cause which eludes us determines a considerable effect that we cannot fail to see. And so we say that this effect is due to chance. If we knew exactly the laws of nature and the state of the universe at the initial moment, we could accurately predict the state of the same universe at a subsequent moment. But even if the natural laws no longer held any secrets for us, we could still only know the state approximately. If this enables us to predict the succeeding state to the same approximation, that is all we require. And we say that, the phenomena has been predicted, that it is governed by laws. But this is not always so, and small differences in the initial conditions may generate very large differences in the final phenomena. A small error in the former will lead to an enormous error in the latter. Prediction then becomes impossible, and we have a random phenomena. This was the birth of chaos theory. It emerged as weather predictions failed. And they just didn't match up, they didn't understand, so they invented, in a way, the chaos theory. Today, I took a picture of the sky. You can, of course, as always, disagree. But I would say we have a rather structured pattern. It might be also almost exactly 90 degrees. And we have these lines which are the same lines, and then we have these others which are approximately 90 degrees. And I haven't watched these pictures yet, but there is also some repetitivity in these patterns. And also here we have some kind of equal spacing going on. In other words, to me, this doesn't look random at all. There is no chaos. Clouds are plasma, so they behave as plasma does. Like this perpendicularity is one feature of plasma behavior. And I'm really glad that it turned out that I will never get into this faculty of the University of Helsinki in order to study weather. Because you have to be a genius in mathematics. You have to manage all kinds of equations and stuff like that. And as they say by themselves, they are heavenly, not heavenly. Maybe also, no, heavenly, maybe. Heavenly and heavenly. Relied on computers, supercomputers, which do the math. Because it's about chaos, it's about conquering the chaos through mathematics. But if you once understood that the clouds in our sky are plasma and weather is driven entirely electrically, which means it reacts to things on the ground, in the ground, to things which are in the sky, like let's say in Earth's atmosphere, but also to things which come from the outside, space weather. It can ionize the atmosphere and it can create storms or it can make them dissipate, it can make them take other tracks. And if there's some geomagnetic activity, the energy will go into the earth and it will take some time until the energy flows back to the surface and it will interact with the weather. So, some time ago, oh, something broke, obviously. Some time ago, I watched a documentary, I think you could call it, about the Matrix movie. And in the year 1999, I bought the book from Brian Greene, The Elegant Universe, string theory and stuff like that. And I went to the cinema as well and watched the Matrix movie. Yeah, I spent a fair amount of time with reading the book, Brian Greene's book. And it didn't make any sense. I felt very stupid and very dumb. I thought that, yeah. It also didn't make any sense. There was so much like stuff. I just thought, what is he talking about? Like, no way anyone could wrap his head around that stuff. And I also watched the Matrix movie. And there was this one scene where this one guy, they were just eating something. And it's just like randomly telling that, yeah, all your thoughts are electromagnetic impulses interpreted by your brain. And this was something that never let me go again. And I watched this documentary, which I find very interesting. And let me just share a little part of it. Hopefully, there's no commercial now popping up. Let's just go into that.
He then realizes what he thought was real was in fact an illusion. Similarly, Neo has been imprisoned without being able to see the prison. When he wakes up from the simulated reality, his naked body lies in a pod filled with liquid. He notices that his body is full of plugs and then sees millions of other pods with humans connected to what seems a giant machine. After a supervising drone notices that Neo has awakened, his body gets unplugged and discharged into a sewer. After Morpheus' ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, retrieves Neo, he needs some time to adjust to the real world, just like the escapee from Plato's cave. A fundamental difference in experience between Plato's character and Neo is the kind of reality they face. In Plato's allegory, the liberated man ascends from darkness into the light, from the lower level within the cave to a higher level outside. This ascension serves as a metaphor for gaining knowledge and becoming a philosopher, and thus obtaining a clear world vision. Plato's reality presents itself as generally more beautiful in comparison with the cave. Also, the freedom of movement in the outside world is a vast improvement. Overall, the real world seems way more pleasurable, and it would be pretty absurd to exchange it for a life in the cave. But the Matrix is different. Morpheus told Neo that if he chooses the red pill, he will show him how deep the rabbit hole goes, referring to the children's novel Alice in Wonderland. Tumbling down a rabbit hole resembles a descent rather than ascent into reality. This idea comes to fruition when Neo falls from a relatively pleasurable reality into a hellish wasteland devoid of sunlight run by machines. As opposed to Plato's reality, the reality in the Matrix isn't beautiful, it's terrible. Those plugged into the Matrix live in a vast, colorful, sunny world, although with a green haze, resembling the late 90s. They also have access to an endless variety of human pleasures. But in the real world, there's only one human city left, Zion, where people live under subhuman conditions, stuck in the outskirts, continually threatened of being obliterated by machines. So one could argue that, in the case of the Matrix, living imprisoned in the cave is more pleasurable than living freely in the outside world.
So, as I expected, there was a commercial. Blind to the truth. I have been searching like for many, many, many years for the truth, like how things really work. As a hobby, I was reading scientific papers, like where I could find them. Back in the days, there wasn't any internet, you know. You had to go to buy them somewhere, and I was reading all kinds of things, but it didn't really fit together. Like, if you read about meteorology, there's not one single word about geology, space weather, history, or mythology. Of course, if you read mythology, let it be the Bible. Yeah, don't get too offended if I call the Bible mythology. They talk about the weather. Yeah, it rained for days. The wind were so strong they carried away mountains. It rained fire. And other stuff like that. If you read about geology, yeah, probably there is a little part of meteorology in that because there's like rain falling and it's creating the erosion. With that, like, the mountains get carried away slowly over billions and millions of years. But there's no relation between those, really. And if you want to study the weather, you have to be a mathematical genius and you have to be able to use whatever supercomputer they need to. And since it happens so that my eyes got opened, your eyes won't open if you don't have an open mind. If you are not willing, basically, to risk everything you thought you know. If you are not willing to risk everything what you thought you know, you won't get there. This doesn't mean that all the things you know or you knew before, which turned out in a way to be basically wrong, that they are useless. They are very useful because in order to understand that you understood something new, that you gained a new point of perspective, you have to have a base on which you can refer to or reflect to. Yeah, a few years ago, I thought I knew that the weather works like this and that. And now I know that it doesn't. And I know now a little bit more how it really works, but I still knew the old stuff. So I have a point of comparison. I can compare the things what I understood and learned in the last few years compared to the stuff I knew and learned back in the days. And that's something which many people are really afraid of, to put their knowledge into the game. It's the ultimate thing that you can put on the table. Put it there. Let's see what happens. Do you get it back? Yeah, of course you get it back. But maybe you just look at it at, in a very different form, different eyes. You can see through it. You can see the matrix. Doesn't mean you can change it, but you can at least see it. Now there's so much stuff still to learn. Like, it's an amazing amount of stuff still to learn. But it's very interesting. It's much more interesting than it has ever been. Back in the days, you were learning a fact about these things, and then facts about these things, and then a fact about this thing there, and the fact there. And then you have a bag full of facts. And no one told you that how they belong together. And now, if I find something somewhere, I know perfectly how it fits into the whole. So the whole perspective got so much more holistic. Like, now this video is already more than 20 minutes long. I have no idea if anyone watched my videos to the end. I don't care. This is anyway this kind of strange monologue. According to my design, I shouldn't have any monologue. I should only talk in order to respond to something. If someone's asking, then I could really somewhat be myself. If I talk just now for this for myself, it's like really strange. Sometimes I feel really stupid, like here talking to the chickens and to the phone. Like. But anyway, for those who like the Matrix movie and haven't seen this documentary, it's about 25 minutes. It's about as long as my own video. Do it. It's very interesting. Probably you won't learn anything new, but it's still nice to go through it once again. But anyway, I leave it here. That's already too long. Thanks. Bye.